Hi everybody, today in this video I want to talk about which power station I use as an emergency power backup for my bi-level machine and how many nights I got out of the power backup station. So just to let everybody know, it did take me a while to finally decide which machine I was going to buy to use with my bi-level machine, and I'm kind of glad I waited. The main reason why I'm glad I waited is because initially I was put on an auto CPAP machine, and then shortly thereafter I was placed on a bi-level machine. Now, if anybody knows the difference between either one, just quickly, versus the CPAP machine, the bi-level machines use two different pressures. They use one for when you're inhaling to keep your airway open, and then a lower pressure, so a higher pressure when you're inhaling and then a lower pressure when you exhale. So far this machine has been great. And the machine that I'm using is a ResMed Air Curve 10, which is their bi-level machine. And then I went with the BLUETTI EB55 power station. So in choosing the machine, the main thing I was looking for was durability, the reputation with the machine, and I did not want any power station that was under 500 watts. Initially I chose a different machine, but it didn't work out, so I ended up going with this, and as you can see it's 537 watts, but the actual run capacity time is slightly lower. Hobo Tech, you can go to his channel and find out exactly. I know it's like 400 and something, so it is under the 537 watts actual runtime, but I want to get into how many nights I actually got using this machine. So I got 7 full nights using the power backup, and then I want to share with you actually how I got 7 nights. Now for some people, I don't know if that's not as many nights as they think they will get, but to me I thought it was pretty decent. So how I got a full 7 nights. The first thing I did was use the DC car port adapter or the adapter port. I know a lot of you may see some people suggest going to Amazon and buying like a little $30 DC converter, but I wouldn't do that. Yes, the OEM converter is a bit pricey, which is actually through ResMed, but I'd rather invest the $90 for their DC converter than the $30 for the third party and damage a $2,000 machine. They're very expensive. Also, when you're using the DC converter, due to the design, it doesn't have like a snap, like click and fit into the actual port. You may have to adjust it a little bit. It does work, but I noticed that one time I would have to just move it, just like touch it for it to finally register. And maybe it happened like one time. And then make sure you turn the switch on when you use the DC converter adapter from ResMed. Okay, so another thing, if you're uncomfortable with using the DC car adapter port, you can use the little 5.5 millimeter barrel plugs, and then plug it in, plug the DC adapter into that port, and that does work. It works just fine. It snaps in better. However, I didn't test the machine with that, and I know that the DC port on the machine actually is regulated, and I'm not sure that those barrel the barrel inputs on the machine are. So I wouldn't know if maybe the machine would cut off if it's not registering high enough or something like that. So, but as I stated before, if you want to use the barrel plugs, you can use those, and I'll leave a link in the description below where you can get the accessory from, because they don't come with the machine at all. You have to buy them separately, but they're not expensive at all, and you can just get them from Amazon. The second thing I did was go in the machine and change some of the settings, and this works for any of the ResMed machines that are AirSense 10 auto set for her, but not the new AirSense 11. So let's see, I just went in climate control. I put that on manual, which is basically off. Once you turn the tube temperature off, the humidity level is off. The leak alert is something that I use because sometimes I forget to plug my hose in when I come back from the bathroom in the middle of the night, but it's usually for people who are like have COPD and other type of health issues. They usually have a high leak rate. It alerts them that they have a high leak rate. So during the test, I actually had it on the whole time, but now I just keep it off, and I haven't forgotten to put my hose back in after I come back from the bathroom. So that's fine. The smart start is off, but I turned it on now, but it was off during the test. Now, the type of mask that I use is a nasal pillow. It's a ResMed N30i. And I did learn that different types of masks will draw more power. So I think if you're using a full face mask, it'll draw more power. So airplane mode is off. I think I kept it off the whole time, but now I keep it, I used to keep it on the whole time. Now I just turned it off. These are the settings that you want to use. Keep in mind that, like I said, if you're using a full face mask and you have a extremely high pressure, it will probably use more watts, but this is just the settings that I used. And my thing is set from, I think, 4 to 10. Now I kind of want to show you the draw when you're actually using a machine on DC versus AC, so you can see how many watts it uses. But still keep in mind, if you're having it on AC, you're not going to see, what's going on in the background as far as the inverter working to convert everything back over to DC. So if you use AC, you're only going to get 3 nights. Well, I only got 3 nights. I'll say that for myself. Let's go ahead and I'll just show you that real quick. Gonna start, and then as you can see, when I breathe in, it's going up to 7. Now 7 is not my highest range, it's just that's the ramp time. So normal breathing, as you can see, between like 3 and 7. But I really have to take a deep breath in for it to even get to 7. Now, I'm not sure what it does at night because I didn't record what it was doing when I was having episodes. So just breathing normally, it's between 3 and 7 watts. And keep in mind, this is a bi-level machine. So when I breathe in, it gives me that max pressure. And then when I exhale, it takes it all the way back down to a minimum pressure. So not that much power being used here at all. Now I'm going to show you here how if you get up in the middle of the night and you take your hose out, that huge leak takes 23 watts. And this is what it does when I disconnect my hose from the machine, because I have to go back to the bathroom. And then once I plug my hose back in, it goes back down to a normal, like 0 to 7 watts in between there. So it doesn't use many watts at all, but keep in mind, if you're using the bathroom multiple times during the middle of the night, you're going to be using just a little bit more watts. Okay, another thing I want to just discuss, how many hours you sleep a night will also determine how much power you use during that night. Now, my average during the 7 nights was probably about, I want to say 8 to 9. My lowest hours that I slept during the test was, I think, like 6.5. And then I had one night where it was like 7.5, and the other nights were between 8 and 10. So 2 of those nights, 6.5, 7.5, and then the rest of the 5 of the nights were 8.5 through 10 hours of sleep. So if you're sleeping 10 hours every night, you're going to be using more watts. And then if you sleep just between like 7 and 8, you might be able to squeeze another night out of it. Now, using AC is a completely different, you get a completely different outcome. Even though during like the test, you'll notice something different versus using it on DC. Keep in mind, I keep saying it again, with AC, I only got 3 nights, and that was with the exact settings that I showed earlier. So I lost an entire 4 nights on AC. And what's funny about it is that AC doesn't show that it uses any more watts. As a matter of fact, it shows the opposite, but you have to account for what the inverter is doing, it converting to DC and AC. So that's the reason why I only got 3 nights using the AC. And it's funny because I have it on, and then when I start breathing, everything's the same, but you don't see any watts registering at all. I thought that was so crazy. I thought it wasn't using any watts at all, like, or that it was so low, it wasn't even using 1 watt. As versus when it's on DC, you'll at least see it pulling 3 when I'm breathing in normally, at least a minimum of 3. I have to breathe extremely hard for it to get to even like 18. And when I say it's hard, I'm breathing in as hard as I can, breathing in and out as hard as I can. It looked like it's not using anything, but I can guarantee you it is. And that's because the inverter has to use more to convert it. So you want to get as many nights as possible, use the DC. And then you'll see also how the leak rate is about the same as it is in when you take your hose off at night if you have to use the bathroom. Overall, I will say I like this machine. I'm glad I bought it. However, if I needed to change anything, I probably would have went ahead and went with the 716 watt machine, because especially in the summertime, if the power goes out, I need to have a fan running, and that means I would need a fan plugged in and my bi-level machine. So I cannot breathe with warm air on CPAP, and that's why at night I need it as cold as possible. I mean, like in the 60s, and then I just get under my cover. If I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm just breathing in like hot air, I snatch it off, and I'm not, and it's not really benefiting me any. So I have to have cold air. That's why I don't even bother turning the tube temp on at all. So that would be the only thing I would definitely change as far as my purchase with this machine. I would have went with the 716 watt machine. Now stay tuned for the next video, because the next video I'm going to actually show you a test that I did with a different power station that has more watts and how many nights I end up getting out of that one. And then I'm going to use another one that's more of a portable battery backup supply, and then we'll probably just cap that out with doing CPAP stuff, unless anybody has any questions. So that's pretty much everything for this video. If you have any questions, just leave them below and I'll answer them as soon as possible. All right, thanks, bye.
So, leider funktioniert das Display nicht mehr. Man kann nicht mehr so schnell genug erkennen, ob die Batterie ausreichend voll ist oder nicht.